Welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm your host, Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you. She's author and poet Marie Love. She's with me for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm your host, Lydia Patel, and my guest for the evening is none other than author and poet Marie Love. She's with us, and we're going to get up close and personal with her right here. Marie Love, welcome to Beyond Focus TV.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're so glad to have you here because you have done so much work in terms of your writing, your skills, presenting, and we're going to get to know all of that tonight. So we're definitely happy to have you on board. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this all got started for you?
Oh, wow. That's a long story, though. Well, I would say it all got started when I was young. You know, I always liked arts. I've always loved people like Emily Michelle, you know, and the many others around that time in my generation. As I started growing up, and I started writing a little bit here and there, a couple of rhymes, but I never really took it seriously until a couple days after I've been doing it. And then my brother-in-law saw it, and he's like, "Where did you copy this from? This is really nice." I'm like, "No, I wrote it." And that's where the poetry took off from.
And what was that poem about?
I can barely even remember. I usually write about stuff that had no business dealing with my age. I would talk about my children, and I always had a passion for kids and for young people, seeing what's going on, the struggle, how I know it's always difficult to handle things. So that's how I always talk about, you know, I feel so bad this happened. I feel so bad this happened. What can I do to change? So it was always about life. I always have like a very deep interest about life, how things happen, what can we do to do something positive to bring about a social change or whatever it is, you know. So that's kind of like where it took roots. And he told me, well, you need to start collecting them. Maybe one day you could have a book. And in my mind, I'm thinking as a little girl, a book? Like, book. I'm always thinking a book is a big person, you know. It's a big deal. And then eventually, when I started getting older, I remember when I was about maybe 15, 16, I wanted to put a book together. And my dad was like, I don't think so. And someone in the church had an interest. They were also an artist. And then when I started showing my collection, and he was just like, "Oh my God, that's a lot. You could make a book." And I was like, "Oh yes, let's do it." And when I went to my dad, he's like, "No, I don't think so." School. That's it.
Absolutely.
So, and then later on, I got into publishing. So that's what.
Well, give us an insight about your family, where you grew up, ethnically, where you're from, because we know certain cultures, they don't really respect the arts in the sense that that's not a real career.
True.
You know, they want you to have a stable job, and you know these artistic jobs all the time. It can be a little bit of a struggle, of course. We all know that. So give us that insight on yourself.
You are very correct. I mean, I grew up in Haiti. I'm from the west side, La Plaine, du cul-de-sac. I then went to Canada when I started growing up, about 12, 13. And a few years later, I went to school, you know, did whatever. And then we relocated to Florida with my parents. And then after a few years there, I did school. You know, I went and got my associates in management, a bachelor's in business administration, because I've always loved business and fashion. Then I ended up getting a master's in healthcare administration because I was browsing. Maybe if I want to help people, I want to get into nursing. So I wasn't sure.
Change it up a little.
Mix it up. And then now I have a dual doctoral degree in public health, community health promotion, and education. So it's
do we get
funny.
to call you Dr. Marie Love? Is that what it is?
Pretty much, but I like the Marie Love. I stick to that. I like to stay humble and grounded, unless I'm doing something that's really major business that I must use doctor, I just leave that alone.
So would you say growing up in Haiti really gave you a foundation artistically, and then you moved and you're getting to see a different culture?
Absolutely.
Every time you move, that's a different aspect. I've moved myself a few times, so I know that when you get to write a little bit, those thoughts come into your mind. But how has growing up in Haiti really shaped your poetry?
It did a great deal, because to me, the image I had in my head about Haiti all the time was always like mango trees and fruits here, fruits there. It's always green and beautiful. That's always what has always been stuck in my head. I never really had that crazy image, those crazy images we usually see on TV, and it was just so funny, even in the car driving here. And I was just telling, we were just talking in the car, keep it busy because a lot of traffic in the city. So, and I was just telling him, like, I never saw these images when I was in Haiti growing up. I know they were there, and I did not. It was a double culture shock, I would say, for me, because after I left Haiti, it was okay. I've seen a little bit of here and there, but nothing such a trauma. Then when I went to Canada, then I started seeing these images on TV, like, oh, poor countries. And I'm like, poor countries?
Well, that's something I want to touch upon, because you actually live there. And sometimes it takes you to step out, and you're like, is this the same place they're really talking about?
I did not believe it. I thought it was a lie. Just like people come up with all those political stuff to break your countries. That's really what I thought it was. I never believed that this was going on in Haiti, because I've never seen those images. I don't recall ever seeing them. Now that I'm, grown and I go back and I can go anywhere and everywhere, oh, well, almost, I see some of these images. But of course, you're talking about earthquake, you're talking about flood, you're talking about so many, unforeseen forecasts that has struck Haiti. So now it's kind of hard to compare that. But I remember back in the early 90s, to me, this was a shock. It was just like, that's not Haiti. I'm like, no, that's not true. That's not true. When I go to school and the kids are talking about it, I'm like, no, that's not true. I think they made it up. No, that's not true.
Like, I lived there.
Very
I know.
ignorant, but that's what it was for me, But now it's like, even going back, after I was in Florida, then I relocated to New York because I was a little bit into modeling, fashion. So, New York, that's the place to be. So when I got here, I ended up being involved more in the community. I moved to Rockland, and I was so much into the culture. I'm like, oh my God. I started finding more about our heroes, the past. I mean, stuff we knew then, but we never put that much emphasis on. And when I started seeing, I'm like, oh my God. And then we started being involved with having the Flag Day, Haitian Day, and so many things. And I'm just like,
well, hold that thought, because we got more Marie Love coming up right here on Beyond Focus TV. And if you want to become a sponsor, yes, you can sponsor these segments. Make sure to send us an email, info@beyondfocusmedia.com. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Beyond Focus TV with Marie Love. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm your host, Lydia Patel, and I have a very special guest with me, Marie Love. She's Dr. Marie Love, but we just call her Marie Love while she's here at Beyond Focus TV, author and poet. And speaking of being an author, this is her book, It's My Story, and I'm sticking to it. I love it. Let's talk about that. What's your story that you're sticking to, first of all?
You said it. And that's usually the trick. When people read it, they're like, what's your story? And I'm like, no. You read it. That's your story. And you're sticking to it. So practically, the idea with this book is that you're going to find something that's about you. You're going to find something that you can relate to. So that's why it's my story. It's not necessarily my story, but it's your story.
So while I'm reading it, it really becomes my story.
There you go.
That's great. So what was the inspiration behind this?
It was just a variety of poetry, because after I did the first book, Brevil, which is Closer to You, I wanted to pay my respect to my wonderful Haiti. I wanted to do a book, but I wanted to do it in Creole. And when I told people I'm going to do a book in Creole, they didn't believe it, because Creole then was not perceived as, a language that people write.
Official language, of course,
you know. And I'm like, no, I learned Creole in Haiti. Because I remember my teacher, that was back in Haiti, I learned, to write Creole. And I was like, no, I'm an expert at writing Creole. They were like, yeah, right. And then until I got the book out, and they were like, how old are you? You did this? Like, that's not possible. And some of the people were not even able to read it. I had to, kind of give them an insight on how to read it. The W's, there's no R, there's this, So it was very interesting. But I was really glad, because I really wanted to do something in Creole. And that was just my way of just remembering Haiti, the Haiti that I knew, the Haiti that I grew up with. So I wrote People, which is like a love story,
Okay.
of Jean-Jean and Mama. It's young girl and young guy. He's totally into her, in love with her, and he's talking to her if you want to say the old way. He's
romancing
it's
her
a lot
a little
of
bit.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Very
reading
good.
it. So yeah.
But writing in Creole, because I've seen Creole written so many different ways.
Yeah.
It really isn't a standard uniform way, and I guess that's because there isn't a standard way of putting it out there. So how did you actually get to just put that out there and convince people, hey, this is what it is?
It's kind of tricky, because it's been put aside for such a long time. We're sticking to French as the official language, and to me, the French was just the confusing language of the people, because the people did not speak French. They spoke Creole, and they want to tell you Creole is a dialect. It's broken French. It's broken
French.
This and that. It's a mixture, because a lot of the words that we have sometimes, it's some of that African language that we still have. Because if you go in Africa, they speak Creole in a lot of the places. So it's not so
That's
broken.
very interesting, too, when you think about it that way.
I mean, a lot of the islands you go to, they still speak Creole. That wherever you head, there's always a little town of Creole. It's not necessarily the Haitian that, the Haitian eventually can migrate there, but it was already there.
And that's very, very true, because St. Lucia has Creole, Dominique has, and Martinique, and there even
Brazil.
Trinidad used to have Creole. I mean, many of the Caribbean islands that you go to, they have towns or little words that are still French or Creole.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like Louisiana, New Orleans, Creole is there.
But it's there, and you pay tribute to that. So that was your first book.
People was my first book. Yes.
Wow.
And I love it.
And then you moved on to It's My Story. When did you actually write this one?
That was 2000. I can't even remember anymore, because it's like I'm so overdue to write something else. Everybody's been waiting. But with school projects, I also have an organization, Sister Foundation.
Oh, do tell us about that.
Oh yes, I travel back to Haiti. And I do a lot of presentation about child abuse and maltreatment, motivational speaking to the schools, the orphanages, and different towns, up in the mountains that people don't really go there. And I think one of our most interesting town that we went to was Bukankari. That's way on top of the mountains. We go there and we get to meet a lot of interesting stories that people had. Because a friend of mine, Greg Gray, he developed an interest. He wanted to do something. I think that was back in 2009. We went to Haiti with the church, and he saw all the kids were just walking barefooted. And he was just like, this is weird. Why are they barefoot? And I'm like, that's the norm for some people. They don't have shoes. And after that, he was so heartbroken. A lot of people were heartbroken, and they were crying. And I'm like, that's how it is sometimes. But since, not that you're used to it or it's okay, but since you've seen it so much, it kind of like
desensitized to it.
So he had an interest ever since we returned back to, the U.S. He's like, we got to do something. We got to do something. He was so passionate. I'm like, listen, what do you want to do? And then so he's like, I want to do that. Maybe I could collect shoes and bring them shoes. And he just didn't know. I said, listen, you know what you want to do? Our church is very supportive. Tell them, let's collect shoes from the church. And he called me maybe a week or a month later, and he's like, you are not going to believe this. I said, what happened? He collected thousands of shoes, maybe about 2,000 pairs.
Really?
And, by the by fall, we took them to Haiti and did distribution to different places. It was just very interesting. So ever since, we've been doing that. So I had Sister Foundation already there, doing the workshops, going to the different places. We do workshops about domestic violence as well. So as we were doing that, we just kind of like threw that in there. And we said, hey, let's do it. So now every year we are expected. So now sometimes he's like, I'm busy. My job is relocating. And I'm like, we can't stop. You're going to have to
create a monster.
Oh, my God, yes. So we post a lot of the pictures on Facebook as well for, everyone who's watching who are interested. It's My Little Workshop. But My Little Workshop doesn't have an E. It's just My Little Workshop on Facebook or Sister Foundation.
All right. Well, that is so good. And don't worry, we have so much here, Marie Love. And remember, if you do want to sponsor a segment here on Beyond Focus TV, send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. Stay with us. I've got another segment coming up right here with Marie Love before we get to it. But stay with us right here. It's Beyond Focus TV. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and I'm here with Marie Love, author and poet. She's doing so many great things, and of course, she just finished telling us about her foundation, Sister Love.
Thank
and
you.
I love it because they're doing many, many great things. When you started that, what would you say has been the biggest struggle in maintaining this foundation? You're trying to write books, you're trying to do poetry, you're a mother. How do you keep this all together?
I have no idea. I think sometimes a lot of the things that we don't know how we do, we just, let's not question it. Let's keep the old way. Don't question it, just keep it moving.
Just keep going.
Because at the same time we're doing this, I have My Little Workshop is the business. So usually what I started with is that the money that I would make from my books, I would take that money, put it into My Little Workshop, and take that money and sponsor other organization or sponsor any project that I do. And I also do, with my business background, I do a lot of businesses, when we go back to Haiti, try to help people with, dealing with surgeries, if they have kids. It's I don't know, it's like a lot. If we try to explain in 30 minutes, But the main thing is you just want to do that social change, As it is said, I think Gandhi said it best, if you see work that needs to be done, do it. Don't sit there and keep thinking, what should I do? They don't do that right. Why is she doing this way?
No, somebody else is going to
do it. A lot of time people talk, and I'm always the type like, okay, I don't talk. Just tell me what it is. What do we need to do? And I'm always on the run. I'm always like trying to do something, because right now, even the business business venture we just started. So what we do is we try to get a lot of the young people involved because they're able to do it. They don't like to advertise, so that's why I won't mention them, but people can call and I can tell them more about it. So it's just a new project that we just started to try to keep some of the kids off the street, because it's the type of business that can help you to grow. They don't ask you for any school degrees. They don't ask you for anything. You just come as, if you want to use the church approach, come as you are, and then we help you shape it up.
So it's anonymous and confidential.
Pretty much.
That's really good. But for the rest of 2014, it's been off to a great start so far.
Yes.
What other events that you have planned, either for my little workshop or for your presentations?
There's a couple of them. I believe on the 8th, there's a women conference, because it's going to be the Women's Day. There's going to be a women conference that's in Rockland County, where I'm going to be the guest speaker. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the domestic violence and some of the great things that women have done to impact society and history as a whole.
Very
so
good.
It's going to be a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things are coming up, as we move along. We just got to keep the calendar together, making sure that we are at the places that we need to be.
Is there anything important that you would definitely want the viewers of Beyond Focus TV mark their calendars, anywhere we can come out and see you? Or why don't you just let us know the Facebook page? I'm sure it's all updated there.
Absolutely. Well, number one is definitely I want them to sponsor your show, because I want to come back. It's been great.
Thank you.
You guys have been wonderful. The Facebook page is Marie Love ML. It's Marie, MARIE LOVE, all together, Marie Love, and space M as in Mary and L as in love. So that's the Facebook. Hopefully see you there. Send me a friend request, send me a message. I'm pretty friendly. I don't pick too much, who.
Well, your page is pretty interesting. I was on it today. You have some really good quotes. It's a very inspirational page.
Thank you.
And I felt very welcomed on it. Little, like I said, quotes and inspirations and stuff like that. So it's an easy flowing page. So when you get to do these presentations, how do you best prepare yourself?
There's really not much to do. It depends on the crowd, because I remember when I started doing these presentations, and when I was in Haiti, I had to do a presentation about domestic violence, which is not very well viewed. It's pretty much acceptable in a lot of the places. Now women are standing up and saying, no, it's not okay. But it's pretty much acceptable in a lot of the towns. And it was pretty scary, when I had to go in one of the towns and had to tell these women who may have been accepting this all their lives. And I had to tell them, no, it's not okay. So it was a little bit scary, because you just don't know how they may take it. And when they don't accept it, sometimes it may turn violent. I don't know how, if our viewers are pretty much familiar with some of these issues, but it's very serious. You can go into a town and you just don't know what may happen to you when you return. But surprisingly, I went there with my husband, and I was just like, okay, we're gonna play it. We did a little sketch to show them how it's not acceptable. The touch, the bad touch, how people push you, and yada yada. And, they made fun of it. We had fun, because every time you're doing a presentation, it's not necessarily about your PowerPoints or what you have on paper.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely about the crowd. It's going to be, you could get there and you have a perfect presentation on your desk or on your flash. And the way the people are looking at you, you're just like, okay, we can't do this today. Sometimes you have to change it around, and say, okay, this is what I'm presenting. I presented it little by little, until, they got it. I remember even one of the person in the crowd, one of the participants, she said, well, if this is this person that's feeding me, if this is this person who's taking care of me, what do you mean that I'm going to be upset at them if they hit me? If they hit me, oh well. If, it's like you just brush it off and keep it moving.
Because that's how they've been, sad to say, raised, socialized, that you do. And it's not just Haiti. It happens in Arabic countries. It happens in most other continents that are not westernized. It's acceptable. They have that sentiment that he's feeding you, he's taking care of you, he's providing shelter. It's ownership.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So I really do love that you promote domestic violence and the non-domestic violence that should be taking place. So that's one of your big mandates. Do you ever see yourself possibly writing about it?
I started to. I have a little bit here and there, but being that I've been part of so many projects along with community projects, it's taking a little bit longer than it needs to be. But definitely, I could see myself doing more with it because it's really something I'm passionate about, child abuse and domestic violence. So even my research is about it. Well, this time it's going to be about disproportionality of black children in the system.
Oh, wow.
But I also have a couple of subjects about child abuse, how, black people or Haitian American perceive it, what we consider, because I'm also a CPS worker. So that's another thing that I do. It's like you advocate for children's safety, So you want to make sure that the perception, because what might be child abuse for me is not child abuse for you. So the perception is really the key, trying to stop that child abuse violence.
And I'm sure there's a standard measure of what will qualify.
Pretty much.
Even though we do have our perception, because we see it all the time, what people consider a little slap. Oh, you shouldn't be hitting a child. Where for somebody else, that's nothing.
No big deal.
So it all depends on culturally as well. Any final words, anything that you really want to let the viewers know about the book, about you? Give us a quick rundown, a recap.
Well, I don't know. I have to make a list when I come out. Well, also, recently I was part of a movie. The title is Belle Vacances, where I played a mom, a single mom with a teenager who becomes pregnant.
Oh.
So I take it pretty harsh, I wasn't happy about it. And recently they were showing the premiere, and it was pretty interesting. I got a lot of reviews
that you have on your belt.
I try my best. See it that way.
Well, we'll definitely be having you back for another interview. We're out of time for today, but Marie Love, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And don't forget, this is her book. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Marie Love, author and poet. Check her out on Facebook. You'll absolutely love it. And, of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to sponsor a segment of our program, send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for staying with us for the next 30 minutes. We really enjoyed it. Same time, same place next week. We'll be back. Thank you. Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.